You're listening to Lore Friendly, Kris Takahashi and Alice Bell, and a special guest today, Marion Toro. Everybody give her a big hand.
Thank you.
The great Marion Toro. We need to hype her up.
Yeah, can we add in some like extra audience clapping effects and some cheers and stuff?
Yes,
I'd cheer on my end,
cheering.
but like it's 9 o'clock, so it's a bit late for me to be doing all like the loud cheering and stuff. So I can do
goodness.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah, Alice lives in the UK,
Mhm.
so that's basically an excuse to crash at our house anytime you go traveling.
Oh.
to England.
Well, I mean, obviously you have to ask first.
If ever you end up in Robin Hood County, just come on down.
Robin Hood County? Woo.
Yeah, I live in Nottingham where Robin Hood lives.
Sweet.
Yeah.
My suggestion is to just show up unannounced.
Yeah.
You say, hey, remember that podcast we did like 3 years ago?
Terrible. Oh,
By
God.
the way, I'm staying at your house for the next month. It's fine.
Just invite yourself. Okay.
This is
Yeah.
actually what you're planning on doing, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah. Well,
You're like building up all these brownie points with all these actor interviews and podcasts and stuff. So you've just got somewhere that you can like tour around all the US and the world and just drop off without having to pay hotel bills. This is your
right. I'm
secret.
planting
Wow.
the seed.
Math.
But Alice doesn't know that today is President's Day for us Americans.
Oh,
And,
yes. We recognize all but one. I mean, actually,
yeah.
for me, I believe there's several I can actually just not care about.
Martin Van Buren, I think.
Or Jackson,
Yeah.
who's still on the $10 bill.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, half the founding fathers, I think we could just like nix out,
completely
right?
remove. Yeah, and let's just get Harriet Tubman. I'm just saying, like, I need some Tubbies.
Yes. Yeah. And especially this current guy, but we won't get into that.
Oh God.
But I think Alice was confused because she thought that President's Day was like the day that we honor and defeat Trump.
No, I thought it was like just a joke. I didn't realize it was an actual thing.
Yeah.
Because I can remember him talking about setting up a holiday for himself. And
Yeah.
I thought this was it.
No, that's going to be a little further down the line, which I'm hoping that people with brains will stop him in Congress. We do not
Yes.
need a military parade. We actually are cutting funding for tons of social economic programs that help children. Oh my God, we've helped children
Yes.
and yes, CHIP as well as SNAP. And I mean, I benefited from being on welfare for a temporary amount of time. But it helped. I mean, even though I was only getting $120 for groceries, and mind you, that does not include soap or deodorant or toilet
Oh.
paper. Yes.
Yeah, it started
No.
with Reagan, where he was saying welfare Cadillacs, like you're gonna buy a freaking car with your
Yeah,
SNAP
and,
money,
you
which you
know,
can't do.
Or be upset because, oh my God, did she just buy a lobster? Like, you have no idea what I was eating before I even was able to, when I finally got my EBT card.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. I guess I could just keep eating goldfish crackers and ramen noodles
Right.
and just drink water. Or I could say, you know what, just this once, which I did as soon as I got it, because I was just so happy to finally be able to eat something substantial. Yes, I
Mhm.
did. I bought myself a lobster tail,
Yeah.
and I think it was like
Treat
some
yourself.
shredded beef. Yeah, and I
Is
yes, I did
lobster
treat
even
myself.
nice?
It's good. I mean, it depends on who cooks it. How can I explain it? I mean, I grew up eating seafood, so
Oh, okay.
and it was cooked. Oh my goodness, so heavenly. You could just
Yeah.
smell the seasonings. But I've had bad seafood. Like I've how dare you kill this animal and then ruin the flavor? Like it died for nothing.
Yeah, you can't talk, Alice. In the UK, you guys like overcook steaks, and I don't even know what you people.
Excuse me. That isn't all of us. I like to have my steaks rare like a normal human
Okay.
being.
Okay, well then I'm not normal because well done for me.
Oh,
if I see
I'm
blood,
sorry.
something's wrong. If I
Oh.
see blood, something is wrong.
Oh.
And it's to be fully cooked.
Damn it.
See? Sorry, my husband.
It's okay. It's okay. You insulted my romantic prospects. I'll insult your
God damn
taste in steak.
I wasn't trying.
We're
to
even
be-
now.
No. This is
No,
I looked at it. Obviously, I pressed enter, then read it. And I'm
but
like,
either way, we may disagree on stakes, but we can all agree that this current president is horrible. He's a terrible man. Please go away.
yes, thank you. But vote, please vote.
Yes.
I'm just gonna stress that out there. Please vote.
So that's why
Henry.
I think this current climate and all this systemic racism and all this crap that is going on is oddly enough just like the perfect time to have this wonderful, inclusive, amazing film that we're here to talk about today, and that is Black Panther. One of the top grossing films of all time, or it's going to be.
Yeah, it's in like the top 5 alongside other Disney releases such as Star Wars and Avengers. It's literally just dominated by Disney.
Yeah, and I mean, well, Marvel is under Disney's umbrella, so
Yeah.
it was just, it's like, look, when you have Disney money, look at all the things you can do, and just the colors. I mean, it was extremely vibrant. I just thought, the different colors you have on the costumes.
Oh yeah.
And I do want to say this because I thought this was hilarious. And once again, Alice, I'm not coming at you. I feel like I have to put this disclaimer out now. But, there's certain scenes you see that are very colorful, and then we go to one location in particular, and it was gray.
Oh, yeah.
And I just was like,
Pretty
I didn't get
accurate.
it. I didn't get it until my husband pointed it out, and I'm like, oh crap, you're right. Like,
Oh no, it's pretty accurate. That's exactly how London looks.
It's very gray and cloudy, I'm assuming, right?
it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if they did that on purpose, but but aside from that, it was just, even in the beginning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Denai just looks amazing. And for me, I first was introduced to her from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, she played Michonne, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. And so it was just, it was, oh my gosh, she's just amazing. And, clearly with an athletic build, and I know that she has a background in theater as well. So, with that combat training, like extensive combat training that she has, and just seeing that in the film as well, I was just, I mean, there's moments where I'm bobbing my head to the music and everything, but I'm just shaking like a little kid, like, oh my God, it's Christmas. And
So who is your favorite character? Was it Okoye? Was it?
I mean, obviously, I loved Shuri.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she
Yeah.
was just little sister, which I am also a little sister, and she was just so not just intelligent, but I love her wit. And she's just like, oh no, this is what we do here. This is how this works. Like, duh, like we get this from the earth. That's how it works. From the ground with the vibranium and everything, and just how she simply explained how how she uses the technology. And I mean, you instantly get it. I mean, for me, I instantly got it. I was like, oh, got it with like, I don't want to say too much, but with the kinetic energy. And I was like,
no,
so my husband and I were.
We could spoil.
Oh, okay. So
Spoil away.
Wait. So okay,
Spoiler
so
warning.
spoiler warning. So the scene where her and T'Challa are in her lab, and she's pointing out the new suits that she's made, and it's so awesome because it all comes from the collar. And I'm like, yo, that's awesome. Just like how Spider-Man suit just kind of pops out from the little ring and everything. So anyhow, just going on with that, and it was just like, okay, hit it. And then she gets upset because he hits it too hard, and then she's like, do it again. And my husband and I already told each other, oh yeah, it's gonna blast him back. And and I just thought how awesome that was, that it builds up protection from all of the hits that it takes.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I'm just gonna throw this in here. We go from having the quote unquote bulletproof black man and Luke Cage to having a bulletproof black prince or king in this sense, and Black Panther. And I'm just like, this is so awesome. Like, just for a moment, I believe in this world that yes, like you can protect yourself, and you can do it in such an awesome and stylish way. And just the outfits. I was really, really drawn in by the outfits. I loved the designs, the stitching.
Oh,
Um,
they were something else. They were a work of absolute art. I love
Same.
costuming. It's like one of my favorite things in the world, and just seeing the colors and the designs. I like you look at the costuming of the Dora Milaje.
Village, yeah.
That's the one. And you compare it to how they dress the Amazons in the DC universe, and it's like, no,
Hmm.
this is what a woman warrior's costume should be. It's gorgeous. And like
Yes.
they're not shot in an exploitative way kind of thing, whereas the Amazonians, especially in the Justice League film, it's turns them into eye candy, whereas this, no, they're independent characters. They work off of their own merits. They're framed as soldiers rather than as pretty women, which I thought
Yeah.
was incredible.
And they were beautiful still,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
just simply in having with the shaved heads, which I'm just like, okay, well, obviously that makes sense because then that's one thing less you have to worry about at the end of the day. When you're fighting, you don't have to worry about someone trying to grab the back of your hair, and you now have to combat with the disadvantage. So at this point, there is no disadvantage,
Yeah.
as long as you know how to use your
Yeah, the
weapons.
way she threw
And
off that wig.
oh, wig snatcher, she was like, oh my goodness, like I was cheering, like yes, and I'm thinking to myself with my clip-ins, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not gonna throw my hair, but
That would have been
but
funny if you
yeah.
just stood up and threw your hair like that.
Oh God, no. I don't wear wigs. But yeah, I'm just sitting there and I actually wore a costume that was designed by one of my best friends who is a costume designer. And I wasn't the only person of color, but uh if you turned on the lights,
Uh,
you could see me out of everybody else, and I'm
oh,
okay with that.
you were the only one who
But
dressed up?
mhm,
Oh, see.
uh, yeah, let's just say we went to a neighborhood that's not quite diverse in
Uh,
other areas. Yeah, because there was not a Black Panther cutout either. I was really upset. My husband and I had actually went looking for one so I could take
mhm.
a picture in front of it. Was not a one. But I even live feed me going into there. I was irked, but I was like, you know what? Nope. I'm still gonna smile. I did get a lot of compliments with the outfit, which was awesome. And there's some things I wouldn't mind improving on it, so I'll send it back to her. And but yeah, pictures are on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah, I showed it
Uh,
to Allison earlier. She
oh,
loved it.
Yeah, I was astounded by the top, like the top half of it, absolutely stunning. Not saying the
thank
bottom half of it wasn't stunning, but I love the purple.
Yes, thank you. And purple is my favorite color. And I
Nice.
wanted something that was unique. I noticed a lot of the goers were wearing dashikis.
Mhm.
And initially I wanted to wear a dashiki, but I'm like, I want to wear something that not everybody else is wearing. So I kind of, in a childlike way, drew a picture of how I wanted it to be designed. And
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
my best friend Danny built upon that. Excuse me.
So was it
And
like a little bit more modern? Like you integrated some modern design into it, or was it like
uh,
traditional
ki-
African garb?
kind of, yes, and slightly Lolita because of the way I had it layered in the back with the ruffles.
Hmm.
But
That
she
was my
did.
favorite part of it. It's
Ah.
Ruffles.
yeah, I like the little twist to it.
Yeah, and so she did make the arm cuffs for me as well as a cape,
Mm.
with kind of the faux fur collar. And yeah, I wore that with a wrap underneath it, and that was really warm because it had snowed early that morning. So we
Ooh.
had like 5, 6 inches on the ground, and I'm like, oh no. But my husband shoveled, so I wouldn't have to walk in the snow. But that was awesome.
See,
But yeah, oh my God, it felt great. Just because there were some people out there, you saw the trolls and whatnot, like saying, "Oh, why are people getting all hyped about this movie?" And I'm like, "But wait, you get to get hyped about Harry Potter and you dress up like you about to go into the school, Or when Pirates of the Caribbean came out and y'all all was dressing like Captain Jack Sparrow, why can't I do this? I'm doing it for the
No.
culture. Like,
For the
I'm going to
culture.
embrace this."
Yeah.
Huh?
I said for the culture, right?
Yes, for the culture. Wakanda forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wakanda forever.
Yes.
So,
But see, like I think the fact that like you integrated some modern aspects it tells me why you sort of identify with Shuri. Because she was sort of like our stand-in, like the person who we could relate to most. She wasn't as isolated. She kind of dressed like in modern clothes. She was spitting out memes and stuff.
yeah.
The sneakers pun.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was so down for that.
was awesome. Oh my god! But yeah, from this time started on this, came into the movie, and just the brother and sister interaction with each
Mhm.
other. The whole like just the way she was dressed, and then the middle finger and walking away,
Yeah.
and
She was. She,
oh my god,
she wasn't
and
having it, and she wasn't having it at the
Ed-
whole ritual and all that. But yeah, I am glad that in an isolated country like Wakanda, they still have access to the memes because that's important.
I think had things gone a different way, I think Sherry and just throwing him in here now, I think and Eric probably would have been pretty cool with each other, like
Yeah.
because of his outside world experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I really
yeah,
liked Eric because I mean, like is a strong word. He was crazy, but he was easier to identify, especially for me, like being Asian American, and sort of
Mhm.
there's this divide between the people in the old country and then the people who are born in America, and I sort of felt like I could sort of relate to that, because there's this sort of divide between the Wakandan people and then the like blacks who are like suffering from systemic racism outside of Wakanda.
Mhm.
And he had that pain of growing up in that, and then he sees like these people who are supposed to be his family, and they've sort of been protected by their technology and their culture, and so he was someone that was relatable. I don't know if the Marvel like MCU has had that kind of villain before, where he's multi-dimensional and identifiable. Like he's a believable character.
And as much as there's a portion of it I do kind of agree with,
Hmm.
however, you had characters not necessarily like him, but had that outside experience from Wakanda, like Lupita's character, Nakia.
Hmm.
And so because she was someone who was also going against traditions, saying that we should go out and help. We shouldn't isolate ourselves because I think that's obviously what caused the breakup, when she's an ex girlfriend. And it really was, hey, look, this is how I'm going to do things because we should be helping others out there. So, like I said, I think had it not gone to the massively extreme with Eric Killmonger, I believe that him, Nakia, even Shuri probably would have worked together
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
regards to that. But I think what they were showing were the different spectrums of those extremes in the sense of, well, let's just put it out there, Oakland, California, which actually, as we're talking, I wanted to look that up. You notice
It's
how they specifically said the year, right?
yeah.
19
Yeah.
Oakland, California. And I was born in 86, so I'm 6 years old, and I was like, I know something happened in California.
I know there was something in Watts or L.A.
Hmm.
after the OJ thing, because that was around that time.
Yeah, the bloodiest year in Oakland
Oh,
history.
okay.
And yeah, it was like the discovery Monday of a slain kidnapped victim, which 167 number of murders in the city only hours earlier eclipsed the previous single year homicide record set last year. And I'm reading this from LA Times. And this was December 1st,
And
1992.
Oakland is where the Black Panther Party started, and I think and the director is from Oakland, like he made Fruitvale Station and Creed,
Yeah.
and I think if he had his way, he would have probably set the movie at in the 60s, the start of the movie instead of the 90s, the 60s, because that's when the Black Panther Party started. That's when we had
Mhm.
the civil rights movement, and there's definitely Malcolm Martin vibes, I think, with T'Challa
Yeah.
and Killmonger, but because
Yes.
of the MCU, I guess the timeline didn't fit because the MCU takes place in current day, right?
Well, I mean, well, think of it this way. I mean, these comics have that are now turning into movies. They've been
Mm,
out way before we were born. So, I they're modernizing the information. So honestly, nothing in and of itself has changed. A lot of, once again, as you brought up, the systemic racism, that's still going on today.
right.
The events that had occurred before we were born, or even as we were born and children and therefore really are still applied to this day.
Hmm.
And I also have the soundtrack. So I'm listening to the lyrics, and then you listen to the words specifically of what's being spoken. I mean, even just the opening of Black Panther, and I loved how they did it with the CG and everything. And it was very clear, precise language. Like I understand exactly the frustrations of Killmonger, and I also understood the fear of opening yourself up. However, isolationism does not help any nation. And a clear example of that is Japan.
Yeah.
You know, that does not help. You close yourself off from the world, and you don't realize that you actually need this technology. And a prime example of that right now is hello, North Korea. Hi, North Korea. You want to know what a meme is? You should get into that. You're gonna freak the f out when you realize, oh my gosh, I love memes. I like these gifs, which are not gifs. Whoever's saying that, it's a G, it's not a J. You get into technology, but like, oh my gosh, because they're very cut off from the world, even though this isn't the first time they've teamed up with South Korea to do the Olympics. But anyhow, what I'm saying is it doesn't help the nation as a whole to be completely closed off. However, you don't have to completely expose yourself either, but know strategically where to help out, so that way your resources aren't being reaped without any benefits. And that's what was happening with the rest of the continent of Africa. A lot of the resources constantly are getting taken away, but not of the funds thereafter are coming back to help out the communities there. And so that's something where I like that they actually brought that up in the movie, because that really is a humongous aspect. That's not just something that you would only see in a movie. That's what's happening right
Yeah.
now. So for me, that really hit home, because you want to make sure that you give back to your community, but you also want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that the store that you built for your community doesn't get shut down a year later.
Yeah.
So it really just talks about different ways of advertising, and what you should look into as far as marketing. And Killmonger saw all of the tools that they were just using for day-to-day operations as weapons. And it's like, yeah, you notice that throughout the centuries, it's like, hey, well, I wanted to make some medicine because I don't want people to be sick. And whoop, look at that. I make gunpowder, or, fireworks, I should say. And then, hey, those look really pretty. I wonder if we could use this to destroy people. Let's just put this in this, use it as
Whoops.
ammunition. And whoops, we made a gun. And you see what I'm saying?
Don't give Alice any ideas.
Oh my goodness. But what I'm saying is the technology that we're using today, we can use it to help. There's pros and cons with everything that we do, but we really should look into making sure that it benefits everybody, not just some, and the reasons why you're doing it, not for the money, not for the prestige, because you just want to help everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so once again, Eric Killmonger was that extreme of, you know what? No, my daddy was going to use this, this energy, the simple things that we use just for day-to-day operations to fight back, and we were going to win wars. But in doing so, as you're selling these weapons, who else is going to get these weapons? You think they're only going to be sold to the people that you want to help fight the war and not on the other side? So that's something you really have to look into that. Just because you make something at that point, it's almost like for us, by us. But yeah, who else is getting into this? Who's going to get their hands on it and it's going to use it against you? So that's like I said, there's a whole
no,
bigger
you're doing
story
great.
behind. But yeah, I don't want to be the only one talking.
No,
but yeah,
I do
that's
agree.
what I
You're definitely right. It didn't. Going back to something you said earlier, it didn't have to take place in the
Mm-hmm.
60s because systemic racism has been going on all the way to today. Even I mean, I'm Asian, but I don't know what it's like to be a black person getting pulled over and the thought that you might lose your life just because some racist cop might pull the trigger. And what it's like to be black in America is a singular experience. And even today, the concept of privilege, the fact that that this racism exists in every part of life. You just walk in the store, maybe like the store owner follows you or something like that. Those are things that people in positions of privilege don't have to experience, and they need to like understand that stuff exists. So you're right. It doesn't have to take place in the 60s. It could take place in the 90s. It could take place in the 2000s. The thing that radicalized Eric's father is still there and still in society. And Eric was just like, he was just an amazing villain because he had all these layers. I do want to say he did make the fatal villain mistake though of throwing T'Challa off the waterfall. You gotta treat your enemies like zombies. You gotta cut off the head. But other than that, he was pitch perfect. And the ending with the way he talked about just putting him out to sea because he didn't want to live in bondage. That was an amazing line. It's just a brilliant performance by Michael B. Jordan.
Oh,
He really
yes.
stole the show on most of the scenes that he was in. He was fantastic.
It's shirt off and everything. Yes.
As well.
So, but yes, and that's why when he went and saw his father in the astral plane, why it was so much more different, and you actually saw him cry because his father realized that he messed up. He realized that the way he was going about it, that his son was being influenced by it. And so at the time, you want to be revolutionary. However, how does that affect your children or those who look up to you? And so because of that, he had, Eric ended up having this state of mind of, oh, well, if I go this route in life, then I can just stronghold everything and get what I want. I mean, because he came in. Now, mind you, the family, that was, like, that could have been easily resolved. Like, hey, kid, you got to come with us. So we got something to tell you. Instead, they left him there. And it's just like, see, that's what closing yourself off does. Oh, let's close up our borders. No, let's not close up our borders. Let's find a way, which, hello, 45th, wake it up.
Yeah.
We need to be more, we need to incorporate how we do businesses.
Do you think there was like absentee father type vibes with that, where they just left the boy there instead of, taking the responsibility and caring for him? Because a lot of, like young black kids grow up with single mothers.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks. Because, I mean, yeah, that happened with me.
I'm
and
sorry.
It wasn't,
Oh.
It's okay. It didn't happen for a long period of time. I mean, I am happy, just on a personal note, that my dad at least apologizes for it. But, I mean, I told him at this point, you don't have to keep saying you're sorry. It's done. And yay, therapy. But anywho,
No, I feel really bad.
It's fine. Yeah, no, don't feel bad. Look, it's one of those things where even if you're not a child of color, to have to grow up with a single parent, whether that be a mom or a father, it is difficult in the sense of, because you're seeing your parent do the best that they can with just the resources that they have and the knowledge that they have, and at the end of the day, I'm hoping that the kids who've grown up with a single parent, like, I hope you become better people in the sense of, when someone needs help, don't be selfish. Like, ask if they need help. See if there's anything you can do. Is there anything that you can learn, like or just gain that experience so you can be well prepared, for what life hands you. And with that being said, I did not see Eric's mother in the picture. So I'm like, did y'all just leave this boy
Oh, that's right.
on his lonesome? You know what I mean? Like, I just thought That's really effed up. Now y'all gonna kill this boy's daddy, all right? And you gonna take the boy and the daddy's friend, and listen, I see now evidence coming out. Um, and then you gonna leave this boy homeless. I mean, he probably has a home, but how he gonna pay the rent?
Yeah, I have no
He's a
idea.
boy.
Yeah,
Y'all messed him up. So I understand that T'Chaka, yeah, he messed up.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a mess. So I can understand why he was so angry. Like it's not like it didn't come from nowhere.
Mhm.
But
He had understandable and relatable motivations,
yes, thank you.
basically.
Yeah,
And so
and that's what makes
I'm
this
sorry.
movie so brilliant is that I mean any normal superhero movie it's like popcorn for the mind. You go in, you like, you stuff your face, you watch the guy in spandex save the world and that's it, right? With this movie there's so much more. Like if you look deeper, like all the different layers, and it's just I was blown away. I don't
But
know if
he
you guys
did
felt the same
change it. That was something. So my husband and I were also speaking upon this earlier today.
thing.
He did change Wakanda
Mm-hmm.
because he was an example of what happens when you close yourself off and you stick to these traditions, but for what? Because that's what you've always done, as
Mhm.
opposed to saying, hey, maybe there are little things we could tweak. Once again, being echoed by Nakia and Shuri. And so I think after that whole ordeal, there's not going to be any more challenges for the throne, I don't
Yeah.
think. Also, I think somebody's going to get divorced and that you know exactly who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like, wow, that marriage seems very fickle.
Yeah, the Get
Oh
Out guy.
yeah.
Are we talking about the
Uh,
Get Out guy?
Did you just say the Get Out guy? Really? You don't
No.
know his name? Say his name.
Daniel Kaluuya, right?
Thank you.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Instead of
My
just
bad.
laughing.
See, that's why we need you to have here to keep me in check.
No, I was about to say, you better say his name, Daniel Kaluuya. That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
Ugh.
You're right. No. He's an amazing actor. I just
Yes.
I wasn't on his side in the movie.
No, but seriously, the rhinos, man. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was
No, I
that
wish
was
they
so
showed
cool.
I wish they showed him and Okoye like
Being intimate.
being intimate, because they
Yes.
were telling, not showing with that. I didn't really feel that
Yeah.
like, being as powerful at the end. But yeah.
No, but you know what? I mean, even with the subtleties of my love, I think because first and foremost, she's a warrior.
Mhm.
So I think they're not necessarily meant to have. I can't say they're not necessarily meant to have relations with anyone. I think because that is her single most important mission in life, is to protect the throne, and she even states that. And so even when Nakia is telling her to go, like, come with me, she's like, I cannot. I have my orders, I have my duties. And so I think that's something that is embedded in their mindset, that we cannot go against tradition. And I'm hoping because of that, she ends up saying, all right, well, screw tradition. But if you saw the trailers for Infinity Wars, then you clearly see that that's not really the case.
There was an interesting intersection. I mean, we talked about politics at the beginning of the pod.
Mhm.
Between the traditional like ritual stuff and then the modern, just like highly advanced technology that they were dealing with. One of the things I thought was interesting is they kept the old like ritual election system, because that seemed like it'd be a little bit weird. I don't agree with how they elect their leaders with ritual combat.
Well, I mean, if it's just an excuse to see them get down.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of which, that tall glass of chocolate milk,
yes.
Mr. Winston Duke, that brother is 6'5". Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. M'Baku.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was, in fairness, because we elected Trump, I mean, we're not one to talk. I mean, maybe we should just...
I didn't elect him.
Yeah.
No, he ain't get my vote.
Maybe we should just give Bernie a machete or Hillary a machete and just, like, let her go at it and take him out.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Because Trump won't even be able to hold a weapon, right? Because of his tiny hands.
He can't even hold his... No, wait, no, I'm not... Yoshi is dying over there. First off, no, And those indictments, those 13 indictments, are proving to show that there's a lot more to be uncovered. I am just waiting for the day where I can have a barbecue when this mofo gets impeached.
Yeah.
That's all. It gets kicked out.
We can
or
elect
anything else.
Mawaka. What was his name again? Winston
Hmm?
Duke. Winston Duke's character.
Mbaku.
M'Baku.
Mbaku.
See, this is
See,
why
I'm
I'm glad
with
you're here.
you.
Again, you got to keep me in check. Keep my ignorance in
Not you,
check.
Kris. Come on, get it together, baby.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Winston
Alright,
Duke. We
but-
can have his 6'5" statuesque body taking out Trump in ritual combat. That's how we should have the 2020 election. But yeah, any thoughts on him and the Jabari clan?
Man. Yo, I thought it was funny when they were shutting up
They're shushing.
Martin Freeman. Yeah.
Shushing.
Yeah.
See, see, you know his name. See, I just call him Bilbo, the Bilbo guy.
Oh, Bilbo Baggins.
This is where Alice has to yell at me.
Uh-oh.
Say his name. Alice, hello.
It's John.
Yeah.
It's John. It's John from Sherlock. That's his name.
Oh,
See, because I just call him Bilbo, and I call the other guy Gollum.
That's the thing.
It's
You
Bilbo
know
and
how I
Gollum.
mentioned with The Last Jedi that I got confused between Antonio, was it Antonio something or other, who was playing the hacker in The Last Jedi, and I got confused thinking that it was Andy Serkis.
Oh.
Well, this time I got confused thinking it was the hacker from Last Jedi,
Okay.
and I didn't
Oh.
realize that it was Andy Serkis. I'm not good with faces.
Yes.
It's okay. It happens.
Just call him Gollum. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has a SoundCloud.
But that is really cool because Andy Serkis can do that voice, and it's just insane. I actually liked his character. He was really funny.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh yeah, my mixtape." He was like, "Oh," and so let me get that link from SoundCloud. I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's really about to get."
He's
But it
not
was just
joking.
Really hilarious. He really wasn't.
He really added a proper bit of levity to the first half of the film, which
Mhm.
was fantastic. Which meant that the end of the film could be really dramatic with less of the relief kind of thing, which I thought was a really good way to set things up. So ramp it up, keep it light, and then
Oh well, that's Marvel's way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get you. We'll shake you up a little bit, then we'll make you laugh, and then we're just gonna drop the ball. But don't worry, we'll pick it back up again. Then we'll drop it again. Like, what are you doing? Like,
basically a roller coaster of emotions.
Why can't I
Yes.
hold on to this ball? Why do I keep tossing it away? It's just like, just,
but yeah, and another person who, I mean, when he first comes onto the scene in the beginning of the film, and I'm like, oh my God, aren't you the first Black actor to win Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So I am speaking of Sterling K. Brown as Njabu. And that was Eric Killmonger's father.
Mhm. Yeah, and one of the cool aspects of the film is they have Black actors from all across the globe to kind of show like the impact of colonialism. And so you had Daniel Kaluuya from he's from the UK, I think. He's from Alice Land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had American actors, you had African actors, you had actors from South Africa, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about the film?
I just think it's been really interesting hearing your guys' perspectives on it, because obviously, we have different perspectives on those kind of issues. Being from the UK, the only knowledge that I have of race issues in across the pond kind of thing is third hand kind of thing. So it's been really interesting to hear your guys' perspectives and your guys' interpretations of the movie, because I feel like it's educating me a little bit more, which is what, if anything, I think that says something about the impact of the movie. It's that it's encouraging people to go out and look things up and go into looking into critical think pieces and things like that. So if anything, that's a really good thing that the film has done with its impact. And just the fact that it's managed to gross so much in the opening weekend, it is an absolute triumph, and it should really tell Hollywood to, put a foot up its ass a little bit more and get into gear with a bit more diversity and not doing all the stupid miscastings and stuff that they do with a lot of Hollywood films where, they put actors in yellowface or blackface or whatever, which is still a thing. Like Cloud Atlas only came out a couple of years ago, and that was unusual, to say the least. And just, I think, what was it, Emma? Yeah, that's actually, that's the most prominent example. And then there was who played Dario Naharis in this third season of Game of Thrones, because he ended up rejecting a role when he realized that he wasn't the right race for the character, and that in turn has got the studio to recast the role as someone more appropriate.
Nice.
I can't remember his name though. He was also Ed Skrein or Ed Skrein.
Dario Naharis guy.
Dario Naharis with the long hair.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I actually only watched the first season, and even then, I only did it because a friend said they wanted me to, so they can talk to me, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's okay, because I love to hate that show, so you're okay.
Okay.
The fact that you haven't watched it is really a blessing for your sanity.
Yeah, because
really, it only speaks well of your character.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're being facetious, but
No, Alice
seriously.
hates the show. I mean, she loves the books, but the show is sort of diverged from that, and
Gotcha.
Less diverged, more thrown itself off of a waterfall.
Yeah, they don't, and D&D hasn't done a very good job with marginalized groups, and so the fact that they're making that show Confederate,
they're not making that show Confederate. They're doing Star Wars now, Kris.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I could not believe, first off, when I heard that, I'm like, so modern day America? Because...
same thing.
Like, please stop that. But yeah, I actually was just kind of trying to filter through everything, and I was like, well, I like the soundtrack, the costumes, the different array of characters, and just honestly, simply that representation. I'm just like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, yes. Now let's go.
There's been all these stories of people like buying out theaters and stuff so that everyone has the opportunity to see it and things, and it's just so inspiring. It's really lovely. And it's a really good film as well.
Yes.
It is.
That's the best thing.
Yes, and it's a great film, and it's a unique story that could only be tapped into if you have that representation. I mean, people from other cultures have different stories to tell, so that's just one byproduct of having more representation is you're just having more diversity, not just on screen, like physically, but also in the text, in the narrative, there's diversity.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the director is the same age as me, and that is just, it's all inspiring still. Like, okay, but him and Michael B. Jordan are best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost every film he's ever directed, who's up in it? Main character. Michael B. Jordan. So, and that's something that I also inspired to do because even though I do the voice acting, I do write. And eventually I'll finish one of these screenplays. And and I know it seems like a very lofty goal, but because of exactly what it is I want to do, I already have a lineup of people I want to speak with. And even for the names that are not as high up, I still want to find those who are already, in the market doing their thing. They just need that one opportunity to get them to like pretty much jump the room and get out there. And I'm hoping that whatever it is that I'm trying to bring from paper to screen, really helps out with that as well. So unfortunately, I can't really talk about it because I want to.
You want to keep it a surprise. And...
I know, but one is a horror and the other one is a fantasy. So
ooh,
yes. So I definitely want to get the horror one.
Coming 2019.
Yes.
Well, hey, you know what? I really should say, yeah, that's a good goal. There's nothing wrong with that. I should have been done with the one screenplay, but it's just like, oh no, the voice acting's taking off, so let's do that. And but there's no excuse. There is no excuse. Everyone usually says, oh, if only I didn't stall or procrastinate. And I'm like, okay, so I don't want to be that person. And but yeah, I actually, even before I got into the podcast, I just finished listening to the soundtrack again. So I have all the stars stuck in my head.
Oh, that is the best song.
But yeah, just seriously, just the colors and everything, and just symbolisms, and obviously people are like, oh, it's Simba and Mufasa, talking to each other, and it was just, honestly, it was beautiful. And just watching everything, and just like I said, the jokes and the hilariousness of some of the scenes, and then just the the gasping, like, oh my god. And also the oh my goodness, the teasing of Angela Bassett with the white hair, and a part of me is just screaming, Ororo, like, please, just turn in the storm, just for like a second, so I can just say, you did it, because you could still play her if you really wanted to. But yeah, that was the only thing. So we might get a storm that is like Angela Bassett. I don't know anyone right now who kind of resembles her, but
Disney buy out the rights to X-Men from Sony, so it could happen.
Yeah,
it could happen.
I know.
I've
always wanted
hope.
this.
Have faith. It could happen.
Sir Patrick Stewart became Professor X, so yes, we can always just keep hoping.
Get on it, Hollywood. Yeah. Stop dropping that ball. Start listening.
I mean, they dropped the ball when they cast Sir Patrick Stewart as a poo, so there we go.
So what?
They dropped the ball a long time ago. They're only just trying to pick it up again, you know?
But what did you mean by it? He's a poo? What happened?
In the Emoji Movie? He plays the poo emoji.
Oh.
That's right. Oh my god. Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen. I've seen him on stage, and to see him from going and playing Shylock to going and playing a shit, it was a bit of a culture shock, you know?
Have you ever watched American Dad?
Yes, I have.
Okay. He's in there.
Yeah, he plays the is it CIA? It's been a while. He plays the director guy.
Mm-hmm. The CIA director.
He basically plays Patrick Stewart.
Pretty much.
That is his role.
He's a oh my goodness, he's a gem. I'll leave it at that. He's a gem.
He is a national treasure. Him and Ian McKellen are the bromance of my life. I love them to bits. And please, can they never ever die? Because I think my heart would break.
Oh no.
They are immortal.
But just to kind of jump back a little bit, I do want to say, because there's someone I was speaking about her since I first saw her in Civil War, and even though her role was a little bit smaller, I just want to say that Florence Kusumba, who played Ayo, was just stunning as always. We will never forget her first words: "Move or be moved." And I'm not saying it in the way she said it, but when you heard her say that, you're like, okay, so you're gonna die if you don't move out the way. Okay, Scarlett, you gotta go. You gotta move now, honey. Okay, because she will remove you from this atmosphere, this realm. You will not be here. You'll be gone. And just seeing her again was just so awesome. So I can kind of tell that she was like second in command to Denai's character and Okoye. So, but yeah, I just saw that. It was just awesome, and that fight was really epic between Okoye and Wakabi. So Just like, what's happening?
Just the female characters in this film. Just
yes. Oh my.
They were characters. That's the thing. They were actual characters.
And
instead
they
of
didn't cry
just
for
pretty.
help. Yeah, they didn't cry for help. Even Nakia's character in the beginning, she's like, you guys are ruining my mission.
Yeah.
And, and she's beating them up too. And that was one thing you did not see. Not once did a female character start hooping and hollering and crying, oh my God, y'all need to save me. Like, I'm sitting here getting attacked, or I don't know what else to do. And you really saw, like, even when Shuri was getting at Eric, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, get him, girl. And then, and I just thought that was so awesome, because even at Angela Bassett's character, Ramonda, when Eric is all like, hey, auntie, and she's like, like, I ain't your goddamn auntie. Like, that was the face she had. But to me, I just felt that the women characters in here were very strong. I loved it. And even Little Miss putting poison in your coffee chick in the beginning, who was sadly taken out in the way that she was, where you clearly saw that Eric had no are you gonna bleep me if I can curse?
No, go ahead.
No,
okay.
This podcast is swearing like sailors.
Okay, well then clearly Eric had no fucks to give when he shot the bitch. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, and she's all like, I'm sorry, Eric, and he's just like, click. I'm like, oh, well, damn. Well, that meant nothing, clearly. I was like, maybe next time we gotta drop it down on him harder. Yeah. Anywho, so that was my thing. And of course, with Forrest Whitaker being in here, because you had a lot of star-studded legends for me up in here, and that was definitely Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett. And I'm just like, damn it, Forrest, like, don't go. Like, you ain't gotta take out Uncle James, man. But I think, like I said, the only time I teared up in regards to everything being really emotional was when, like you had quoted earlier on, Kris, was when Killmonger was talking to T'Challa and just saying how he'd rather not be a slave, like, or in bondage.
Yeah, he would rather drown.
And then when he was talking about, that with the Atlantic slave trade, yes, there are countless numbers of bodies, my ancestors, that I will never know, at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. And that is something that is horrifically tragic. And so many people out there who honestly believe that slavery didn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I was wondering why I was going through the census in the United States, especially down south in Tennessee and Mississippi, finding out my roots. And I went as far as 1883. And I knew if I tried to go back any further, I would have to look up the slave logs. And that I actually have not gone any further than that, because I'm not ready. Personally, I'm just not ready to get that angry just yet. So, yeah. And I laughed to keep me from screaming internally on the outside. So that is exactly why I'm really proud. I'm extremely proud of Marvel Disney being able to help fund and get the story out. I'm so happy for I don't want to mess up his name, because I always mess up his name. Ryan Coogler. Yeah, Coogler. Sorry. Woo, I knew it. And
see,
I
you're like me.
Like, girl,
you gotta say
Ryan Coogler.
You gotta say the Fruitvale Station guy.
For being just being able to take on this challenge of getting that out there, just getting the story out there, and all the writers and the producers and everyone behind the scenes, that even though we don't see their pictures, we don't see their faces or know their names, I want to say thank you. And I absolutely mean that, because it takes a village. And this is awesome. I'm hoping that it doesn't just continue to do well this week, but just until it can't be shown in theaters anymore. So I'm absolutely looking forward to the numbers. I believe on the global scale, it was 387 million that it's made. Thus far. And yeah, just God, I'm just really happy to be alive.
No, that's a perfect way to end it.
So,
We've talked for about an hour, and we're so
Yeah.
lucky to like have you on, Marion. Because
Yeah,
just
thank you
your
for-
perspective and
Yeah.
oh, you're welcome.
No,
And
it's
thank you.
it's a perspective that we wouldn't have been able to have without you. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, of course. And honestly, I just want to also put that out there before when Kris had invited me to come do the podcast, and I was like, podcast? No way. Like, I don't even know if I could do that. Let me just do this. Then I'm like, no, these would be really fun. I should get on here. So no, definitely for the both of you, did listen to your podcast before a couple months back, and as I was kind of trolling through Kris's YouTube, but because I was curious to see what you were doing, and yeah,
it's
just,
mostly just nonsense and dick jokes. So
Yeah.
it's not worth listening to.
This is probably the most educational and on-topic episode that we've had
Yes.
since
Oh.
the first 6 episodes. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, yeah, I mean, if there's anything else you guys think I could contribute, just
Oh, yeah.
hit me up. I will definitely
Oh.
make
Yeah.
time.
You're welcome anytime. And all right, so yeah, thank you again, Marion, for coming on. Thank you, as always,
You're
Alice,
welcome.
for being here.
Thank you.
And see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.